All right, modern day mystics, fellow truth seekers, James and Justin back again. And in this one, we're going to do something a little bit different. Normally we do reactions to videos, a whole array of, like subject matters, philosophies, religions, and stuff like that. And we've been doing this one on the Genius of Islam. It's a 3-part series. We did part 1. And what we're going to do is, instead of doing a reaction on part 2 and 3, we're going to do a review of 2 and 3 together, put our thoughts on it. And the reason that we're doing that is not that we have anything against, people, having free speech and their own opinions on certain things. But we found that the part 2 and part 3 were a little lewd. And if you came here to watch a reaction, that's what you're getting here. If you really want to watch the videos in a whole, you can go watch part 2 and 3. But this is our reaction. If you need to see the faces while we react, I can do that now. There, you got the facial reactions. But now you get to actually hear us talk about the videos. Part 2 was all about atheism. The guy who's talking is Daniel, the Muslim skeptic, right? And I guess in part 2, he was the gist of it was that there are no atheists in foxholes. That there's kind of a return to your intuitive nature.
Yes, there was a lot of talk about that.
And that trumps the analytical mind. Now, that's one way of viewing things. I think that the analytical mind and the intuitive mind need to work together in order to kind of make sense of things, right? I found it a little unfair because Daniel, the videos are very provocative. That's why we're doing a review. They were just he makes some really wild examples of where atheism leads to.
And zeroes in on some, and I'm just kind of combining part 2 and 3, zeroes in on some of the practices of other religions and kind of a criticism of other religions.
Yeah.
And by the way, Daniel seems like a very smart individual. The videos were edited very, very well, high quality. Even a lot of sound logic. He is an intelligent person.
Yeah.
Did I agree with all of it? Definitely not.
Yeah.
And so we'll get into that.
Yeah. Daniel, he debates people. So I imagine someone I've watched other content of his. He seems like he's someone on edge, and because he kind of needs to be. When you're a debate person, you're always got that front because the idea of a debate is to win, right? So
it requires skill.
Yeah,
and take that seriously.
I'm not a personal fan of debate formats because I think you lose almost your capacity to see when you're wrong on certain things because it's all about winning.
Right.
Debates and I rather more a casual conversation over a debate, just talking. I'd rather just hear your opinion on it. And so we kind of get that in these videos. But again, back to that foxholes thing, the intuitive over the rational mind. We were talking a little bit before this about how maybe in a foxhole, you go back to a primitive state of being. Is that the best place to be making calculated decisions on? Or is it the place where, you just, if you're in a foxhole, you cry out to anything because you have no control in a foxhole. Right. Bombs are dropping around you. You may feel like your moment is imminent.
Right. What else would you do in a foxhole? Would you fight off a prowler to death in a foxhole? Would you eat something or someone you normally wouldn't out of desperation in a foxhole? Would you how desperate would you get in a foxhole? I don't understand. There's lots of things that occur in a moment of desperation. One of them, yes, I think the hallmark of it is that people can cry out to God where otherwise they wouldn't. Some people cry out to their mom, I've heard.
Yeah.
People will be like, "Mama!"
Yeah.
All kinds of things happen. I don't want to stick on that point too much. It's still a valid point about intuition versus,
But I think it's fair to question whether or not that would be, does that make it truth just because that would our primal instinct to do something? Does that mean that that's the way it should be seen? Or is that the way it's seen through a human perception, given information, and like many things, would a human in a foxhole react the same in the 1900s versus the 1500s versus 20,000 years ago?
Right.
Would you would you be doing the same thing? Right. So that was kind of like my feelings on like the atheist side of things. On the polytheistic side, you mentioned he kind of goes like deep into the past of he picked out some certain religions like that, and he picked out tribes and stuff like that, and ancient practices that were really like, they're like
carnal, ancient, brutal. That's why we're not reviewing the video, is because they could be probably perceived as a little much for our audience.
Yeah.
You know,
considering how like we have people watch from various faiths and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we're not here to point out who's right or wrong. We just kind of like our perception, what we're viewing from these and getting from.
And also there's an element of ignorance here. I don't claim to even understand the practices he's talking about. I'm talking about from our time period we live in, our culture. Some of these things are not the norm, and I think he even mentioned in it that they some of the scriptures he was referencing are like hidden, like not widely accessible to people because they could probably be jarring to today's culture. Yeah. So without even criticizing that, you can see for yourself, right?
Yeah.
I think people want you to pick a line, pick a side. Sometimes it's not what we do here. It's not going to happen. It's kind of an objective approach, trying to bridge any gap that there could be, because we care about actually unity and bringing people together, not separating people.
Yeah.
That being said, you know, sometimes when I hear, the more I look into all this stuff, the more I'm seeing so many legitimate perspectives that I'm like, I almost wish that we could all just pick one and fine. Let's just pick one and all do that then. Is that okay? Can we all pick one? But that's not how it is. That's not the reality. God, in their infinite wisdom, made us diverse. You know, and so there are always opposing arguments where you're like, why the hell? I don't understand. Where are they coming from? Take it up with God. What, you know, there is that to be contended with. And you could rationalize that or write some scriptures to explain that away. But the bottom line is that we got to get along here, you know, and all our opinions matter.
And that's just one video. Like, I would ask the Muslim community, is it like unanimous across the board? Like, does there have to be such division like what you're talking about? Are there more all-inclusive like Muslim denominations or sects or stuff like that, where like there are certain tolerances where there might, you know, be in like one place? Believe it or not, I witness it here, right here. We're from Canada, right? The melting pot, right?
Yeah.
So I've met an array of Muslims with, you know, different, like they act different. Let's just put it that way.
They're not they're not necessarily fundamentalists.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And so the saddest thing for me in that video, the thing that I guess I didn't like, and this is just my personal reaction, was that I felt like he was trying to like put Muslims on an island outside of everyone else. And I was like, I don't know if you're doing a service when you do something like that. Like, how can we live in a world together where like there can be Muslims and Christians and Jews and Hindus, and we grow together, like what you were saying? Like, is there a way to do that regardless of our differences? If you want to believe the things that you believe, you can believe them, but we still have to live together. We still have to find, and that's the thing. It was like, I felt like in the videos, like, well, Daniel, I thought that Daniel painted some pretty ugly pictures of atheists and polytheists. And I think that like whenever you do that, you dehumanize them. You take the human out of them. Like, I know atheists, and like the darkness in which you can take a subject like that. I know some beautiful atheists. I also know some assholes, but I know that from every walk of life.
Right.
Like, it doesn't, whether it like beautiful Christians and Muslims and Hindus, beautiful people, but I also have experienced assholes within all of them too. So like, I don't think we it's good to, like, I don't know, isolate yourself, make yourself an island.
Well, if it's baked into the mindset, right? Like, I'm an ego reductionist. Whatever reduces the ego, I'm on board with that. because certainty will certainly do you in. You know what I mean?
That's a good saying.
What I'm trying to say is that time will tell the ultimate tale, right?
Yeah.
And, when you look at the history of religion and it's like, it's like, oh, Buddha predated Jesus and like this predated that. I'm not really sure where Islam falls on that scale, but it's like, you could argue that in contrast to something else, that it's an advanced way of being. I know some people that are Christians and I'm like, you should be Muslim. You prefer that. Because their proclivities, it goes along with where a lot of people are at, but time will tell the tale, right?
Yeah.
Are you, if there hasn't always been the necessarily, conceivably there hasn't always been Islam. Like there was a time period when Muhammad spoke to, Allah spoke to Muhammad, right?
Yeah.
Are you ready for whatever comes next? If Allah comes and speaks to somebody else, and says, yeah, there's something new coming.
Yeah. Well, they say that it's very etched into the Muslim belief that Muhammad is the final prophet.
I understand.
Yeah.
But in real time, if something new comes along that is logical and, appealing even to you, are you going to suppress your feelings of, desire for that thing for some traditional way? It's like, that is a hallmark of what people do. Especially a conservatively minded person, they suppress even new information in favor of something that's traditional. It's like how your mind's structured or something like that, right?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to say, it's hard to speak on these things. I'm not even really sure who we're speaking to here because I would imagine what we're saying is not appealing to somebody who is traditional or conservative, right?
Yeah.
But I would say if I'm speaking to the part of you that would be maybe open to that and understand that there is room for change. Everything in reality is constantly in flux and changing in all kinds of bizarre ways. So maybe be open to that. But that doesn't mean I'm dismissing your way of being. If I meet somebody that's hyper traditional, it's not hard to see the merit in that. It's not hard to see the merit in somebody who is disciplined, traditional, and conservative.
Yeah.
The alternative can be chaotic.
Yeah.
The alternative can be foolish. Yeah. And you just know who you are, though, and know that there are people like us out here if you are trying to expand your horizons a little bit.
Yeah. Well, that I think to piggyback off of what you just said there, I wanted to also use this video as like a springboard to talk to our Muslim community out there, because we've done a bunch of Muslim reactions and stuff like that. But if you watch any of our other content, it's obvious that it's not solely focused on Islam. So I think for our Muslim viewers out there, that if you do like any of our content, I recommend to get to know us better, watch some of our other videos. Don't just watch the Muslim content. See what other stuff. We got some great videos. We just had an amazing interview last night that we're going to be releasing this week. So watch our other content, get to know us a little bit better and feel us out, because we don't like labels here. I'm not like you can't stamp a label on me and say he's that belief thing.
You can, but
you could, but I'm not it. So, and know too, that we love everyone. We want everyone to have a say and come together and share their beliefs and what they think. You're welcome. We'll hear you out.
So, definitely.
I think I don't know. Is there anything else you want to say on that?
Keep the discussions in the chat wise and civil and caring.
And we're going to do more Muslim reaction videos. These ones were just particularly, I felt like they were too much.
Right. Or go nuts. Say whatever you want.
Yeah. Remus out. But yeah, guys, let us know if you liked this review. And if you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, share with a friend, and everybody, until next time,
stay spiritual.